Okay, how's everybody doing this evening? I wish I had good news for people. I wish I had a better video to make, but unfortunately, I'm going to call out a few things that I'm rather worried about. First of all, I'm underneath an awning because it's raining here, so I'm going to stay here pretty much stationary in one place. Got the trains running, which is one of the first trains I've heard running today. Basically, trains are shut down, and this whole city has been shut down. There's literally nobody on the streets. I'm 7:30 in the afternoon right now, and there's 7:30 at night. There's literally nobody out. None of the businesses are open. Everybody's gone. I haven't actually witnessed this, but I've been told that if too many people congregate, the police come and tell you that you have to break it up. So we are in somewhat of a state of lockdown where people aren't being able to freely move around amongst themselves, grouped together, and so that has been pretty much stopped. About a week ago, I made a video about buying some pretty cheap Bitcoin and some pretty cheap EOS, of which I thought was a great deal because it was going to bounce back very quickly, and that there would be money to be made, and that this was a good time to buy them. This is my video to tell you that I don't feel that way any longer. In fact, right now the way I feel like all bets are off, that you should stay out of the market entirely, not only the stock market, but the crypto market, Bitcoin, EOS, Ethereum, whatever, regardless of where you're at in the world. Simply because people make decisions on data, on an information. Generally, what you find is people that are very intelligent, mathematically intelligent, that can analyze data, take data, and understand it, and make decisions based on a lot of variables. Usually do very well, and usually are very, very wealthy people. Well, in this case, you have no data to go on. You have nothing that can come close to putting any of this into perspective and making it understandable. I've been through a lot, seen a lot of things happen in my life. I've never seen anything like this. Obviously, you see a lot of people get upset about things, and then over a short period of time, it kind of dies out, and people go back to their normal way. And yeah, there was Y2K was like that. I remember Y2K. That's 20 years ago. People thought the computers were going to shut down. They thought the electrical grid was going to go down. A lot of people made some very dire predictions, and of course none of that happened. So I've seen some stuff like that happen before, but I think this is a little different feel about this, and I'm not so certain things are going to bounce back as quickly as I thought a week ago or the last time I made that video. The idea that people are not able to talk and amongst one another and congregate is a very troublesome thing. The other thing that's very troublesome to me is the fact that your businesses, and I've been in business my whole life, that are not operating, they're not running, so employees aren't making a paycheck. All these restaurants that you see every night that I walk up and down, and people come up and talk to me because they've had a few too many to drink, or they've been to a restaurant like Barrel Republic or Vigillucci's or any of these places, and everything, they're all shut down. So that means the owners are not making any money, the employees aren't making any money, and everybody is without a paycheck. And from being in the restaurant business, I know that's a very, very slim margin, a very tight margin. In fact, I could tell you a quick story. I owned a restaurant. It was actually a pizza restaurant. And there was a young lady came into my store one day, and I knew her fairly well because she used to come into the store all the time. And she had a good friend of hers that was also used to come in the store very well, a lot. And she was prone to, she had a little bit of mental disorder. One of her mental disorders was she had anxiety. And of course, whenever she had anxiety, she'd go to a panic attack and then mimic a seizure. She was able to kind of mimic a seizure. So she came into my restaurant one day, and of course she mimicked a seizure, and I knew that she probably wasn't really having a seizure, although I'm not someone that could make that decision. But still, from my previous experience with her and my relationship with a friend, I knew that it was probably, she wasn't in dire emergency or dire critical condition. But anyway, when I say that, to say that I'm not an insensitive guy, because if I thought she was, for one instant, there was something wrong with her and seriously wrong with her, I would have been the first one to get her help and would have been the first one to try to get her to the emergency room. I would have driven her myself as quickly as I could have. But anyway, she did this, and of course somebody saw this and they called 911, and the emergency 911 trucks came up, and she was right in the doorway, and they started to work on her, and they shut down the restaurant, and I'm freaking out because this is like a busy time of the day for me, and I mean, every hour counts. I mean, 1 hour lost business was the bottom line. I mean, it could make a day a loser versus a day where you had a profit. So I'm like, guys, could you just I don't know what's going on with her, but get her in the truck and get her to the hospital if she needs to. But you really got to be doing the blood pressure thing and then the heart rate thing and the temperature thing and all that stuff right here on the floor while you're blocking the door to the entrance to my business, and people can't get in. And of course, not only can people not get in, they see all the emergency trucks and units and in front of my restaurant, and they think something crazy is going on. So I don't only lose that hour's worth of business, I lose pretty much the entire day worth of business. And like I say, ended up being nothing wrong with her. They ended up getting her up on her feet. She was fine, and she walked out of the restaurant under her own power. But the issue was, for me, is I was so excited just for a few hours to be lost, because I knew what the margins were, and I knew how hard everything had to work perfectly for the restaurant to make money, or to even lose money, or to even have a chance of making money. And I know that you take, like most of these restaurants right now today, you give them 2 weeks like this and they're going to be out of business. 3 weeks and they're never going to be back in business. And a stimulus check of $1,000 or $2,000 is not going to make a difference. That's absolutely nothing in most businesses or most people's lives. $1,000 is a trip to Costco and buy a few things. So this idea that the U.S. government or whatever government in the world is going to come in and help its citizens out by giving them a little bit of money is absolutely laughable. And it's ridiculous, and it kind of shows me the ideas that are in charge of this pandemic, or the ideas that are negotiating what's going on here, because this is a lot bigger than giving somebody $1,000 or $2,000 for them to get their lives back together. They could literally be years. You take another month, and that's kind of what they're talking, maybe another month before we figure out how far this is going. You're going to have some serious economic crisis. How that affects Bitcoin, I don't know. Maybe Bitcoin goes up. Maybe EOS goes up. Maybe the cryptocurrencies start to take over, because all this uncertainty makes people realize that we need a decentralized currency. We need something that's worldwide. We need something that isn't controlled by governments, because governments are centralized and governments can make bad decisions, and we need something like that, and it helps the whole crypto market. Or everything declines and people literally have to liquidate everything in order to survive, to pay the basic bills that you need to live on, your electricity or your food. I mean, that's what it could come to. But I feel very uncertain about this. I feel very uncertain about these times. I don't want to panic, because I don't think there's anything to panic about. In fact, if anything, I think there's a lot to be positive about. I don't want to give exact numbers, but I'm in San Diego, and I know a few days ago there was just a few cases. And I also know that as of a few days ago, no one had died. We have literally 4 to 5 million people here in San Diego County. And you have a few cases and you have no deaths. So I think that's a very positive thing, not a negative thing. I think that's something that people should be saying. We don't have anybody dying yet. We don't have bodies in the street. We don't have, caskets, setting in the hallways of the hospitals. So I think there's a lot of very positive things. However, people are reacting in a way that is almost biblical, almost some sort of apocalyptic. So that's what's scaring me. It isn't so much what I see from this virus, but how people are reacting to it. Now I know, and I told this about this in my other video, of years, my grandparents, my great-grandparents passed away both of the flu, that there's been some bad years for the flu. The swine flu, I think, was one of them, and some other years. There's been some hard years for the flu. So this is kind of a natural thing, and that certain years things happen. People get diseases and they die. So if we are overreacting to the point that we actually destroy our economy because of a natural event that nobody could stop, and maybe we save a few thousand, maybe a few 100,000 lives, but at the same time we destroy an economy that doesn't recover for years. I don't know how you weigh and balance that, how you make that decision. I think a lot of the people making those decisions are business people. They're politicians, they're scientists. They're people that don't really understand the other side of the coin. Maybe they understand the side of the coin of how this could be dangerous, but they don't understand the other side of the coin of if everybody loses their job, how that could be dangerous too. So I really don't know where this is going. The other thing that I kind of get a feel from is that in the beginning, Donald Trump didn't give this much merit. In fact, today I listened to him for a while, and he's like, he thinks there's going to be this quick rebound. So he thinks that if people don't go out to the movies, and if people don't go to the restaurants, and people don't go and do all the things they're normally doing, and then all of a sudden when things get better, they're going to do that kind of pent up energy is going to get released, and it's going to be a big boost to the economy. I find him in that respect very naive. What I find is people are creatures of habit, and when they get out of habit, they generally don't go back to habit. So in other words, if you're used to getting up every day and doing the Starbucks, and this last week you haven't been able to go to Starbucks because it's been closed down, you get out of the habit of going to Starbucks. And not only do you get out of the habit of going to Starbucks, you realize you got an extra $20 in your wallet, and maybe I didn't need that shot of caffeine after all. In fact, I've kind of kicked my caffeine habit, and I got an extra $20-30 in my wallet. Maybe I don't need to keep going to Starbucks. So that's what I find with people most of the time. People will change their habits if you break those habits. So rather than all of a sudden all this pent up energy, or all these pent up lack of business springing back immediately is probably not less likely to happen. Although I could be wrong, because that's been my experiences. The other thing I thought was very interesting about the man today, of which I'm not a big fan, as people probably already know, is that he talked about how he gave up his salary to be president. So he had, I think, presidents paid like $400,000 a year, and he doesn't take a salary. He works for free. And he was very upset that people were not giving him more credit for that. While people are struggling to pay light bills and pay the cost of fuel and energy, that he felt it important enough to be upset about the fact that that people were not thanking him for the fact that he wasn't being paid for being president. Which, of course, obviously generous of him to do so, but he's always portrayed himself as a man of great wealth, and that $400,000 means literally nothing to him. So the fact that he's giving that up, I don't think he should be thinking that people should give him a big thank you for that, because he's already set that up. Thought that was very interesting. The other thing I thought was very interesting about him today was that he was going on about the fact that he's given up a lot to be president. The last 3 years, he could have made a lot of money because he's a very sharp businessman, has a good mind, could have made lots and lots of money, but instead he's foregone that to be president of the United States, which I felt that again was very, what would you say, not the right time for that to be talked about, especially in times where a lot of people are struggling very hard and trying to find a way to make a living and worried about their future. The fact that he felt like he's given up so much to be president and then he needed to talk about that. I think that was kind of an odd thing to say. And then he also talked a little bit about the fact that his children are running his business now, and that he's instructed them not to do business with foreign governments because he doesn't want any kind of anybody to say that there's any kind of deal making, making deals with other governments outside the United States, and he doesn't want any kind of insinuation of that he's profiting from being president of the United States, and that's cost him a lot of money. The fact that his children not being able to do business in the United States, only doing business in the United States and not outside the world, has cost the United States cost his family and him a lot of money. So this is the kind of rhetoric you're getting from a man that is in charge of probably one of the, if not the biggest. I would say one of the biggest cataclysmic things that happened to the United States and the world in a long, long time. I don't feel a lot of security in that kind of talk, especially when something like this is going on. So at this point, I would say he's not taking it all that seriously. If this is the kind of stuff that he's talking about, he's not really totally taking this seriously. The other thing he tended to say today, which made me think he wasn't taking this very seriously, is that he's talking about some of the things they could do. He's also talking about a drug that he thinks is going to fix the cure, of which, as we all know, you just don't say this without knowing with almost certainty that that's going to be the case. So I just don't think he's taking this all that seriously, because I don't think he fully comprehends what's going on, or really, is at a point where it's going to affect him or his life. Obviously, being president of the United States, no matter what happens in the United States, he's always going to be very well taken care of and not have any kind of disruption in his life, any kind of problems with whatever goes on with him. His life will be very, very good regardless of what happens to everybody else. But at the same time, I don't think he totally understands the common man and how this is hurting everybody, and especially the people that can least afford to have it be hurt. So anyway, a long video tonight. My thoughts on this, I'm a little bit concerned. My main reason for making this video is to tell people to be cautious of the market. I'm not buying any Bitcoin. I'm not buying any EOS, even though I think the price is very, very, very low. And that would be my recommendation. Do whatever you want. My recommendation has always been to buy. This is probably the first time I would say take a wait and see attitude. I was buying EOS when it was $20. So I've always believed in the project, and I will continue to believe in it. I would just say at this particular time, be very careful, and don't just automatically buy because you think the prices are good, like I did the other day. And actually, for a little bit of time, I would have made some money. I bought EOS for a little around $2, and it went up for, I think, over $250, and then I think it's dropped back down. I bought Bitcoin for right around 5,000, a little over 5, probably around right at about 6,058, 5,900, close to 6,000. I can't remember exactly what the price was, but for a little bit there it was 6,250, 6,300. So yeah, if I would have liquidated the positions I sold, I would have probably made a little bit of money. But I wouldn't do it again, knowing what I know, and I don't recommend anybody else to either. So anyway, that's my recommendation. Be very careful of this market. Be very careful of what's going on. We are in uncertain times, and don't listen to anybody. Least of all, do not listen to the conspiracy theorists. I spent many years listening to the conspiracy people. I know their story very, very well. I've listened to every single one of them. I could name their names, but I wouldn't do that because I wouldn't want to give them that, even though I'm on not a very listened to channel. I have a few thousand subscribers. One of the guys I was listening to has a few 100,000 subscribers. So, he's got a voice, 20 times bigger than mine. But still, I wouldn't listen to these guys. I don't think their attitude is always that there's some There's so the 1% of people out there trying to take over the world, and this 1% of the people have a nefarious mindset, and they're trying to start flu vaccinations, and they're trying to start epidemics to basically wipe out the world because they feel like there's too many people in the world. Since there's so many people in the world, we need to do something about it. So that's kind of their attitude. I would not listen to those people. I would not buy into that. That is, that's almost like the prosperity gospel that the preachers preach. It's designed to make you scared so that you watch their content. The more they can make you scared, the more you will fall to their content. Just like the prosperity gospel, the more you feel like God's blessing you by watching a certain ministry, the more money you give to a certain ministry, the more God's going to bless you. It's the same thing, to the point that the ministry ends up becoming very wealthy, and the founder of the ministry, the lead preacher, no longer flies commercial airlines. He flies in his own private jet because we've got so many people giving to him, to the point that they feel like if they don't give to him, God's not going to bless them. Well, that's the same way with these conspiracy theorists. They want to make everything a conspiracy, that there's always a group of people that are trying to take over the world, and if you don't listen to them, you won't know who the group is. And if you don't know who the group is, then you're not going to know what's going on. You won't be able to plan ahead and protect yourself. Please do not listen to those people. They are leading you down a road that is a dead end, just like the prosperity gospel people, the prosperity gospel people are leading you down a dead end road. It will take your money and leave you with nothing but empty promises. This is the same thing with the conspiracy people. We do not know how serious this is. And that's why I'm telling you, all bets are off right now. This could be deadly serious, and this could be way more serious than anybody's even saying. I mean, I listened to the guys from the White House today, the Surgeon General, and I think their head guy for the doctors, one of the top doctors in the country, listened to him. Very clinical people. I know they're not business people, so they don't understand the other side of the coin. And they're giving a very grim, a very negative prospect on this. They could be 100% right. And they could be more than right. They could be right and this could be something that wipes out 10% of the world, 20% of the world. Who knows? We don't know. I do believe that there's a serious virus going on in the world today, and that this could be deadly to a lot of people. I think that's absolutely true. And I think that people need to be cautious and people need to be careful. That's why I caution you to stay out of the markets right now. I also think that it could be something like what I just said a little bit ago about San Diego. You got a few dozen cases and no one's died. So there's no bodies. So it could go either way. We don't know. I don't know. And I don't think anybody knows. And that's why a person of intelligence, a person that has a mind, a mathematical mind, that can weigh and balance all the variables, you can come out with good conclusions. In this case, does not have the variables, and the variables are changing, and the variables are undefinable. So there's not enough variables here to define the equation. There's not enough variables here to define the good equation. There's no way you can come up with an answer. So at this point right now, there is no answer. The only answer is to stay safe, stay out of the market, and to realize not to listen to any of the people that are on one side or the other. The people that are saying, yes, this is nothing, or the people that are saying, this is really, really bad. I think you need to be aware of both sides. And also, you also need to be aware of the fact that, when you have centralized systems like we do with the government right now, that whenever in times of emergency have incredible powers, literally like I said a little bit ago, and I did not witness this, so I'm not saying this for fact, that the police are telling people not to congregate, or if too many people are in one place at one time, the police are coming by and telling you that you can't stand around and talk too long. I think that's a little bit scary. So anyway, that's something also to be concerned about. So anyway, this video's gone on for a long time. Hope my phone didn't run out of memory. But anyway, hopefully I'll make a video in the next couple of days again, and we can get you more updated on what's going on. I will do my best to research everything I can research and find out the best information I can find out and give it to you as well as I can. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.